So when all that was going on, and then Nate came behind him, and I guess you had the experience with Sid. Well, like Nate came into the organization, and then you've already kind of Sid was well on his way. He was somewhere else, and you had an experience with dealing with someone else who the best player in the world. And you have Nate. Did you see things in Nate that you saw in Sid?
Well, see, I didn't coach Nate though. So Nate came through. I was at the year before Nate came through. I was coaching 3 teams, and my own son, the Pee-wees, and my daughter's team. So things sort of for about 4 years stopped where I didn't coach Pee-wee. I took and happened to be Nate's first year of Pee-wee. So I've seen him, and I was at I think when they have what do they call that week where coaches go in and help other development week. So I worked with them then, and I knew him from playing, like and seeing him in the community and that. But I didn't get a chance to coach Nathan, but I saw him at a young age, and different hockey player than Sydney in that Nate assets. So when you saw Nate step on the ice and skate, the power and his skating and stride was just incredible. Like, it was dominating. It was more of an individual strength, and I'm not taking anything away from Nathan, but Sydney's strength as a young guy was making everyone around him like better. He could move. Nathan could just in single-handedly beat a team, like just skate around them, and like his speed was just second to none. And then as he got older, I could see you could see the other aspect of his game coming in, where using the guys around him to his advantage. And by the time he came back for Canada Games, he was a lot more complete player. I think that's when people really started noticing him as well.
100%. And then you have the 2 guys from Cole Harbour, and that's really when the scale and the spotlight went to Cole Harbour. It was like, what are they putting in the water over there when these 2 guys are just spectacular? It must have been a great feeling for Cole
I was
Harbour.
Actually contacted by ESPN. They did a feature, and that's what it was called. What's in the water in Cole Harbour.
There you go. That's amazing. That's incredible.
Yeah.
But that uplift for the organization just must have been surreal. Like, where does that ever happen?
Yeah, I still say it's the best and worst thing to ever happen. The best in that, amazing that you have, but it also sometimes puts an unrealistic expectation, not so much into kids, but into parents, and what, oh my God, if I put my kid in Cole Harbour, this is going to happen. Like, and it happened. Like, I know a family that bought a house to play in our team.
No.
Rented a house for a year, and you don't, that's the dangers of that type of situation. But the good far outweighs the bad.
Yeah. Is there any challenges that come with all this? Managing expectations? It's from an organizational standpoint.
Coaching wise, there is.
It's like, why doesn't my kid have 80 goals yet? It's
that's. But I don't look at it that way. I look at it as minor hockey as minor hockey. There's a big difference between minor hockey is about kids developing, having a good time, community, learning life skills about respect and behavior, and playing as a team and working as a group. And that's, I think most coaches I know stick to, that's what they want to do. And I would hope every association, I know Cole Harbour supports it 100%, that's the philosophy they want everyone to run with.
Well, if the kids aren't having fun, it's hard to develop them.
Yeah, 100%. Like, it needs to be that focus of, the fun aspect needs to be first. Let the kids go out, develop their character, find out who they are as individuals, how they can be good teammates, and instill that in them. And no matter where they go in life, whether it's hockey, whether it's baseball, whether it's a career, instilling those right values in them from a young age is so vitally important. But they're kids, and we need to think of that first, and focus on the fun aspect of it, and make sure that they're having fun, that they're excited to come to the rink every single weekend or every single night, however often they're practicing or playing games, etc. It certainly feels, with the condensed schedule now that we're back to games, it almost feels like every night to a certain degree.
Yeah, and it feels like the Joe is going to be the fun aspect of it.
I was just going to say, he's going to be in the lobby with a towel wiping the smiles off all the kids' faces.
the parents too. You know, it's like
Yeah.
I think the Joe is a great kickoff for Atlantic Canada to show that hockey's back, but hockey's back in a fun way.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's
We're
needed.
so excited.
It's needed in this part of the world right now. Hockey is a big part of our culture. You could say it is our culture, and it hasn't been as fun as the past 2 years as it could have been. And I think that this is going to be a great trampoline jump into the hopefully future of having fun with hockey if COVID can take a back seat. So big responsibility on your shoulders, ours as well. We want to show the rest of the Atlantic Canadian provinces that it's going to be a great time.
Yeah,
it's going to be fun, a lot of fun. Is there anything that you want to announce about the Joe, I guess, coming up that people need to know about it?
You know, I think, ultimately at the end of the day, the Joe Lamontagne tournament, was founded by Joe Lamontagne back in the day because there was a lack of opportunity for rec league teams to compete in tournaments. So that is where the Joe Lamontagne was founded. It is our most important division that we still host every year. So the last weekend of the tournament, the 18th, 19th, and 20th, is all of our host league teams, and we're so excited to have them. We do bigger divisions at the host league, just so more teams get to be part of it and experience it and enjoy coming to Gull Harbour and being part of the tournament. So that is a big aspect for us, and this is the 39th playing of the tournament. So we lost a couple of years, so we got a big 40th coming up, and things will look a little bit different this year because of the fact that we were shut down. There was a lot of uncertainty. So some of the aspects of the tournament that we've had in the past, such as 50-50 draws, hospitality suites, won't exist this year. And it's not that we don't want to deliver them. It's just because of public health restrictions, because of timing, etc. We're really trying to focus on the most important thing, and that's the kids and being able to get on the ice and play the games and have fun and enjoy the Crosby shootout, but also have that time at the hotel in the pool to enjoy swimming with their buddies and having fun in that regard. So I think a lot of the hotels in Dartmouth Crossing, downtown Halifax, the atmosphere in those buildings for March break week is going to be pretty fun and pretty exciting as well because one of the big things is about camaraderie. I talked about it earlier, and being in the hotels and getting to know your fellow teammates and getting to know the fellow parents. Even getting to know your coaching staff is so vitally important, and it's been challenging the past 2 years with COVID.
Yeah. We had a company meeting a couple days ago about some of the things that we're trying to accomplish when we're at the Joe and while we're working, and one of them was networking, meeting new people for just getting High Button brand out there. And on a day-to-day basis, we just want to be shaking hands and introducing ourselves to as many people as possible. I want to know what your day-to-day goals are for the Joe when you're walking around the rink. What are you looking to accomplish when it comes to growing the Joe?
Yeah. There's so much to accomplish. I think it's people first for me. I want to be able to go in and shake all the coaches' hands and the managers, and be able to chat with the parents and talk to the parents and just take feedback of what they like, what they don't like, what they like to see changed. What we could be doing better. My vision for this tournament is to respect its roots and where it's came from, but also to make it one of the premier events for a hockey tournament in Atlantic Canada over the next 5 to 10 years, however long I choose to be involved in the tournament. But if this first year is any indication, I don't see myself hanging up the reins anytime soon. I'm having too much fun with it, and getting to connect and build those relationships with a lot of people in the hockey community. It's a lot of fun, and that's what I'm most looking forward to is just having fun and experiencing it through the eyes of the kids, the eyes of the parents, the eyes of the coaches that are there. I think it's going to be an exciting time.
When we met for the first time, myself and Dudes and you left, we were saying that Jeff, he seems like he just wants to have fun with it. You had a kiddish element about your personality. I was like, that's perfect because you're going to understand what's going on with these kids and how they want to have fun. I was like, that's the right guy for the job. And you left here and we're like, it's going to be a great business relationship because we're on the same wavelength of it.
Yeah.
So it's we think you're going to do a great job, and we'll want to once again thank you for the opportunity for bringing us on board. We can't wait.
No problem. Thank you guys for doing this. I think it's going to be absolutely incredible, and it's just one of the small things that we're implementing this year in order to take the tournament to the next level, right, and grow the level of exposure and recognition that the tournament has, outside the Gull Harbour community. Yeah. One of the things that I've talked about, and anybody hearing me talk about the tournament, is I want I want Dartmouth in general, but Cole Harbour in particular, to come alive during tournament week. Like I want to see, signs going down Cole Harbour Road of, welcome Joe participants. We're excited to have you. Hotels wanting to be part of it and involved, and all the restaurants running specials for Joe tournament participants. In my mind, I've got this vision of, maybe at the start of the tournament, that first Saturday, there's a parade that maybe leaves the RCMP station on Cole Harbour Road and goes down to Cole Harbour Place, something along those lines. I'd really want to create that festival-like atmosphere that everybody is excited to be in Cole Harbour and be part of Cole Harbour, and that red and white is flying everywhere. Like that is what is going through my mind. Yeah,
and you have to have a vision.
I actually think it's awesome because early years of this tournament, there used to be a dance called the March Break Dance. And I mean, it was, we always went to it and we usually closed it, but it was a tiring event if you were working the tournament.
Yeah.
But when he's saying this, this tournament, especially in its early years, was really, and as more things happen in life, I think hopefully COVID can be like a reset, and because it sort of loses some of that luster over time because the dance is no more, the events we always have, and that we still do have the recognized people during the tournament. They have they recognize the referee, Seamus. That's Seamus Flynn.
Yep.
There is some recognition events that take place, but hearing Jeff say, about bringing back the spirit within the community and that, and I'm like, oh God, that's awesome. Like, 'cause
it's what's needed,
and that's what it was there, and it's still a great tournament. It always has been, but to hear someone say that they want to bring that back in is very, very encouraging for me.
Do you have something to say?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, that. That for me is rooted back from Doug and McNeil in Cape Breton. I was probably 14, 15 years old, involved with Sydney Academy's Blue and White tournament for the first time. And Doug was a big builder of minor hockey in Cape Breton for many, many years. Yeah. Coached Sydney Academy High School team, heavily involved with all the tournaments down there. And just remember him in the car on the drive to the rink with his son, just talking about what the tournament meant and the atmosphere, the excitement around it. And of course, this is high school age kids, so big dance at City Academy that all the players would be going to and attending and stuff like that, and just feeling the sense of pride and the community involvement and stuff like that is really truly what got me into wanting to do this, and it's important.
I think it's part of the resume that you need to have in order to do something like this. You have to experience it to put it on for someone else. Just like a ref, the best refs played. You got to be in the game in order to know what you want. At least for me, I could be wrong, but that's the way I feel about it. I
was just going to say, like, the community aspect. One of the biggest, I said you'll get a glitch. One of the things that brought everything together one year, was we had a team from Newfoundland. And,
I already know it's going to be a good story.
It's a doozy. Let's put it this way: we call it the $38,000 mistake. I sent them. The guy was asking about the tournament information. I said, I'll send you the information from last year. So I sent it to him.
Yeah.
We have correspondence all the way through. A week before he calls me, goes, so everything's all set. He goes, we got everything all arranged. He said, I'll see you Thursday. And I said, you mean next Thursday? He goes, no, Thursday. They had their flights booked, everything for Thursday because they used last year's event.
Oh, my God.
But get this. I'm dying, going, oh my God. And at that time I'm teaching in the school, I was a relatively new teacher back. I'm retired now and relatively new teacher, so that tells you how long ago it was. But everyone came together. The beauty of it is I think it was something like 2 or 3 of the people from Newfoundland didn't end up getting here because the parents had to work. All the kids ended up coming. They switched the flights. Air Canada, you try to do this now, added a flight so that they could come the next week. People in the community got vans, so we said, we'll take care of your transportation while you're here. So people in the community drove them. It turned to be a positive. I remember a guy named Gary Bradley who was on the committee with me. We were out there to pick them up. When they came off, at the airport, I remember saying to the guy, "Hi, my name's Gary Bradley. That's Paul Mason." but that sense of community and everyone coming together when could have been a catastrophe, turned out to be, an incredible community story. So those things happen.
Oh man, I can't wait to be a part of this community. It's gonna be sick. I can't wait for that. It's a great story.
That's the thing too, though. You're talking about building the tournament and making it big and stuff. Not only are you trying to celebrate the tournament and the players, but it's the community, right? And I can tell, just based on all these stories, you guys have gone through all these things, and it really is. And you want the streets to be buzzing, so it's like a community feel. So that's what you're trying to do, is celebrate Cole Harbour and everything it has to offer, along with this tournament, is how it feels to me.
It very much so is. And, there's already been challenges this year. Paul says, challenges are going to come and present themselves during tournament week. The biggest challenge we've had so far has definitely been COVID. Absolutely no question. But we faced other challenges as well since, we plan to go ahead.
Can you give us an example?
The municipality made the decision to support Lacrosse Nova Scotia by removing the ice pad at RBC Rink A. We had 50 hours of ice booked on that pad for tournament week. And, finding 50 hours of ice is not something that's easy to replace. East Coast Varsity Arena in Dartmouth, the old Bowls Arena. As soon as I found this out that RBC was pulling the ice, I started calling arenas. Who's got ice for me? Who can help me? And East Coast Varsity stepped up. They said, you know what? The kids need this. The kids deserve this. They haven't had tournaments for the past 2 years. We're not going to let this happen. Yeah, we're going to park our March break programs so we can make this happen for you.
No way.
So, we've had community partners like that are stepping up. Yesterday, we ran into an ice scheduling conflict, and we had a game that was scheduled to start at 2:15 in the afternoon at RBC on Pad C, and that game would be a 50-minute game, should be over by 3:05. Problem is, we only had the ice until 3 o'clock, and it was Moosehead's ice after that. So, emailing Cam Russell last night, Cam's getting back to me. Yeah, no problem, Jeff. We're actually on the road. We're not going to use that ice. Take as much as 2 hours that we have booked as you want. So we're getting a lot of help from the rink operators, the hockey community. You look at our
former Cole Harbour alumni, by the way.
Yeah, Cam's former Cole Harbour alumni. Yeah, right. So stepping up and really helping us out. So he was excited as well and shared in the excitement that we're bringing the tournament back this year after a 2-year hiatus. So
I love that.
Everybody is willing to step up and do something in order to make sure that this is happening and going off. A group of us is getting together Wednesday night to fill out 335 game sheets, to sticker 670 player of the game pucks. Like, this is all the little behind the scene things that people don't realize that are happening and occurring. And I've got my ice scheduler Scott McMullen, who's been working tirelessly for the past week, and I probably get 2-3 emails a day going, when is our schedule going to be released? When is our schedule going to be released? And he's working with there's a picture of Scott actually with 4 laptops and his son working and doing, okay, input this game on this laptop, then over to this one while this one's uploading, get the next one going, then on to the next one, and just keeping going through that process in order to build all these games for this tournament. So a lot of people don't appreciate and understand the hard work and that goes in on the back end in order to make these things happen. And but you know what? We have a lot of fun with it too, and don't get us wrong when we say that. And I think you guys experience that. We're not sitting around a boardroom table having our meetings by any means.
Yeah. I got goosebumps right now from that community support. I have goosebumps.
That is some of the most fun is when you get together to do those things, like put the game sheets or do whatever. That is that is a lot of fun.
And who would have thought game sheets could be a challenge, Paul?
Oh.
But since the movement to Grey J for the live scoring and doing everything there, actually getting paper game sheets is now a new challenge that we would never have thought of before.
That's why Chad Trenholm at Grey J has to get a tournament set up on his system.
Come on, Chad. Here we go.
Chad reached out to me yesterday, as a matter of fact. So definitely will be in contact with him for sure.
Yeah. Is that Connor's dad?
Yeah.
Connor Trenholm. Huge stud from here too. So I think I just put that together, so I had to blurt it out. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. That's
actually Connor's stepbrother is Nathan Welton.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and Chad coached this team. He coached with me for probably 12 years, maybe something like
wow.
that.
Paul, I wanted to ask you. I just asked Jeff the same thing, but during the tournaments when you're not coaching and you're in the hallway shaking hands, what are some of your goals? Because you're kind of an iconic guy in the Cole Harbour organization. People want to ask you about with Sid and other things. Like, what do you think your responsibilities are?
Actually, because I have a shop in Cole Harbour Place, skate shop and that.
Okay.
So I will be in that rink from 8 a.m. till close every night, other than the shootouts and.
Wait, was that an advertisement?
Not really.
There's no free. Do you have any cash on you right now? I can't be doing that.
Yeah, so I'm in the rink.
Okay.
Come see me. Deliver coffee.
Definitely going to be one of the busiest guys in the rink if you have a shop. It's
a good it's a good time for us, like the March break tournament. But it's it's just it's part of what we do. Like our family, friends of mine are going to Mexico in March and invited me, and I'm retired, and I'm going, can't.
Gotta sharpen skates.
Coaching hockey and sharpening skates, and so I'm going in April.
There you go. You ever sharpen Sid skates?
Actually, no, but the guy that worked for me, so when Sid was a kid, the shop was owned by a guy named Barry Harrietha. So
Barry Harry was his name?
Barry Harrietha.
Oh, okay.
Barry played senior,
Great
played hockey. So actually Sid's parents and my wife and I bought the shop. So that was 8 to 10 years ago maybe that we've had the shop. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So. Are we sure we're not supposed to be calling it the Paul Mason Parkway? You said Sidney Crosby, but seems like you might have some territory there.
No. So so we bought it, and it's just more. It was more as a retirement thing for me, for something to do, and then I'm not going back on the committee as such, but I've never left the tournament. I've been involved with it since day one, but the shootout is more to help, and I love the spirit of the tournament, and talking to people and seeing people that people who bring kids who say, you were here when I was a kid in this tournament.
Hey, that's nice.
It's kind of neat. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, that's a great little location for the shop too. It's right in the corner there. Tons of walking. People always stopping in. Hey, Paul, how are you? You must get tons of people walking in and be like, it's been a couple years. What's new?
It's like Cheers,
Yeah.
Cheers and Dr. Phil. People coming in to complain about something.
My kid fell on the breakaway. What's going on with the skates?
You wouldn't believe some of the things that we get about the shootout sometimes, but they're few and far between.
Do you have any conversations at all with the Zamboni drivers, the people that are like maintaining the ice? Do they have any concerns about just ice people on it all the time?
You know what? All of our arena operators have been extremely helpful, extremely supportive. Anything that we've needed, they're more than happy to accommodate. The Zamboni drivers, the rink maintenance people, the ice schedulers or ice bookers, all of them have been absolutely incredible to work with. I think I have every single one of them on speed dial right now, and probably a backup of another 3 or 4 rinks in case of natural disaster that something shuts down. Connecting with presidents of other minor hockey associations, going, hey, we need this, we need that, can you help us? And that's what it's all about, is pulling together as a community to support one another. To make it happen. And again, like I said multiple times, is making it all about the kids, because at the end of the day, that's the future, right? And I think you'll see that a lot on our signage, our banners, and it's welcoming the Wings, past, present, and future, because we want this tournament to we'll celebrate 40 years next year, but we want to see this go well into 100 years plus, right? And keep it going.
100%.
Yeah.
From right now to the tournament starts, what are some things you got to get off the checklist?
Where do you start?
Game sheets. No.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, definitely found a source for game sheets this morning, so that's a big check mark. I've got a big purchase order of printed materials that I got to pick up in Burnside on my way back to Cole Harbour this afternoon, and then it's really just making sure that, okay, let's double check, triple check. Do we got our volunteers? Do we have this? Do we have that? What is that one thing that, we forgot about or haven't thought about at this point in time? I liken it a lot to planning your own wedding. And, there's always that one thing. It's like, we forgot that, right? But what I keep telling myself is probably the best piece of advice that I got when I was getting married is, nobody else knows that is supposed to happen. So if it doesn't happen, don't worry about it, because it's only you that knows. So that is probably one of the things that I keep it in the back of my mind. Unless it's something major like, we didn't schedule referees for that game. Paul, can you lace them up?
No.
Yeah, they don't want Paul calling the game.
Just calls it from the crowd, from the shop.
Yeah,
Like,
from the shop. Yeah.
that's 2 for Trip. It's Paul. You know him, right?
We didn't see any of those conversations with any refs recently, did we, Paul?
No.
Double check, triple check.
Yeah.
Everything's good.
Yeah,
No, it's all
exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be great. And like I said, from someone who's been involved, to see Jeff's excitement, that's going to spill over into everyone on that committee. And I'm looking forward to it as much as everyone else.
Yeah, 139 years. It's crazy. The history on the tournament.
It's older than
39
us.
years. Yeah, it's older than us. It's crazy to think about it. There has to be
is.
like a level of respect you need to have for the tournament. For our
sure.
first year going in, it's just you just at least as a business standpoint for us, like our first year going into a tournament that's been there for 39 years. It's just,
Something we've played in
just-
too, right?
yeah,
like
it's
we're
something you've played,
former
yeah.
participants. It wasn't the Sidney Crosby shootout when we played, though. I
Yeah.
don't think. Right?
So, what are big memories of that tournament for you guys?
Well, other than my parents yelling at me for forgetting gear, probably. I don't know. Like I always just remember, like, this is the home of Sid. So there was always like a big deal back then.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he was in the NHL, but I'm pretty sure he was in Rimouski when we were in that tournament.
Well,
So I always remember
When we were in Pee Wee, he was in Rimouski because we went to the
Rimouski?
game. Yeah.
So
Remember?
I always remember like being excited about that element of, wow, this is literally the house Crosby built. So that was always just like in the back of your mind. And then I remember like the crowds. Like we were really good in Pee Wee and we had some crowds, but I remember the Joe Lamontagne was maybe the first time there was an actual crowd. Just
Yeah.
probably like 300, 400.
We see it as a
people.
crowd. It was probably just people there for the tournament. But at that point,
Yeah.
right? and
Right.
for you to remember that 20 years later is incredible, right? Like,
Well, I just remember because it was on one side, and on the one side, all the way to the top to the bottom, there was tons of people. I always remember that, and I always remember that media booth that we're going to be in. There was always someone in there with a clipboard.
yeah,
And
you're
that-
wondering what he's doing. What's that
well,
guy doing
yeah,
up there?
Because this Pee Wee was the time when like scouting kind of came around.
It would have probably been so. What you guys were Halifax?
Halifax Hawks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who coaches back then? Sorry.
Peter Mumberket.
That was Bantam. So when we were growing up in minor hockey, we'd had guys like Kevin Sabb
Kevin
and
Sabb.
Kevin Cameron, like John Shore. That's just a random name that probably no one remembers. But yeah, for like the year of Pee Wee, it was Kevin Sabb, Kevin Cameron, and those were kind of you have random coaches all the way through. Like I can name all my coaches for you, but I'm not going to do
No,
that.
no.
That's just my memory, right? But
because Pee Wee, because I would have probably been on the other side, but quite often if they're upstairs with clipboards, you're probably thinking of playoff game because they usually had 3 people there picking in the championship games. MVP, defenseman, MVP, forward, and MVP goalie. I think it was something
that
of that
adds
nature.
up.
So there would have been people there with
Yeah.
clipboards for that. But yeah,
Pee Wee was always just that year. I remember of like the next step is Bantam. And then
Which
you
is kinda scary.
and then you find out who the Bantam coaches are, and then the Bantam coaches are in the stands. And you're like, oh, this kind of matters. So I always just remember like the pressure kind of coming in Pee Wee, and then talking about the fans. I was like, oh, people care about me playing hockey, and like I just remember that element. It was the next step of being at the Joe. That's what I always remember about it.
I have a completely different. I think that, and then this is probably the same for kids these days too. The first thing I can think of, number one, is March break. You're a kid, right?
Right.
You're in school. You have an opportunity to go anywhere. Whether you live in Dartmouth and you get to go to Cole Harbour, it's a big moment. It's March break. You're off school. You get to play hockey. So that was the biggest memory for me. Was any tournament like that. You know, you get to skip out at lunchtime on Friday and stuff like that. And I'm not saying don't go to school. I'm saying stay in school. But what I'm saying is that the nostalgia feeling, right? Of like.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, we're packing up. We got to get in the van and go to PEI or whatever. And the other thing for me was the shootout. I got to go in the shootout. I ended up having to shoot against my own goalie in the final,
Tommy?
Dave Carson. And I remember my dad, and my old man was never the type of person to like really chat about the game. And he was like, you got to make a decision here. you can either try and win against your own goalie, or you can give him the moment kind of thing. He's like, I don't want you to lose on purpose, but you have to make a decision. And anyways, I tried my hardest. He ended up beating me. Yeah. So he won that. But I just remember the shootout was so cool, man. You're looking around. It's like the first time you can actually talk to other teams. And you know what I mean? You're looking around. You're like, what's that blue jersey? You go over. It's the Sydney Steelers. Their logo's all faded and stuff like that. But you can't see. And, but it's like that was I still think about this to this day. I still have all my Joe Lamontagne pins up in my man cave. Like, it's just like, so for me on the outside looking in now, as part of like, I guess the business part of it, it's like I am fired up for this, and I can just imagine what the kids are like. So for us to help bring that element is huge. And let's be real, the earth or the world right now is going through some tough times. So to get some positivity and see some community spirit is it's amazing, man. It's going to go a long way. So
it's what, when you said that about whether I shoot on my goalie or not, because that's probably the number one question we get from parents and coaches is, how come he's shooting? I said, we tell the kids right out at center ice, it's like the Royal Rumble. Doesn't matter if it's your partner or not. You have to, go. If your goalie lets you score, there's a good chance after this round that your goalie's going to be eliminated. So so you got to decide that, and if you, but it's like a Royal Rumble. You go out there and you're all friends. It's a friendly thing, but it's every person for themselves at that time.
And I remember Pee Wee was always that age where you start to understand the people who you're playing against, because you played against them at younger ages, but Pee Wee, you start to develop a little bit of a personality, and you have a little bit of confidence to go up to the person you play against and go, hey, I'm Justin, what's your name? And you start to like build a relationship with the guys from Sackville, the guys from Harbour, the guys from Bedford. You're like, oh, who are you? And I always remember that, the friendship element of it too.
So my best friends to this day are from tournaments like that, like you start out chatting, all of a sudden you play in the same major midget team, and then you go to junior and he gets traded there, and now you're like, remember the Joe Lamontagne shootout? We were blah 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 blah, and then now you're best friends for life, right? And I think that's the big thing for not only hockey but sport is all that stuff that comes with it off the ice.
Yeah, exactly. The off the ice stuff was always big at that
for sure.
tournament. Yeah.
Getting a pin, little like MVP, even if your old man told you didn't deserve it, it was like you still got it, right?
Did Carson drive you home after the shootout? He beat you, and did he drive you home?
Most likely. Yeah, well, no, if the old man was there giving me advice, he was driving me home,
funny.
Right?
What about you guys? Favorite memories from the Joe, and then we'll get a couple more things, and then we'll wrap it up. What are some of your favorite memories about the 39 years? Any one?
I would say from back in the days, I slept in the press box in Scotia 1,
He's off with that.
which is not the press box you guys see now. This is when it was just one rink. It was up in the corner, and it was cold. And I slept in the press box that overhangs there, and I've slept in the refs room.
Love it.
Those were good memories because I stayed in the rink until the next morning. Yeah.
Most people wouldn't see that as a good memory. That's to be commended on.
I'm not talking about why I slept there. I'm just saying.
That's great.
But it's just, we had, I look back very fondly about all the times, as a coach, I tell my kids every year, like, it's a very important tournament to me. It's just because being involved with it for so long. But it's funny, the best memories, even, we won it numerous times. It was, my memories personally are from the organizational aspect of it and working with a group of people in the community, and still to this day. So, and they're endless. They really are. Yeah.
Jeff?
I think the biggest memory for me is my son competing in it at the U9 or the old novice level for the first time, and he hasn't had the ability to compete since then because we haven't had a tournament in the past 2 years. So, really excited for that. Like, his enthusiasm, his excitement for this tournament coming up, and to be part of it. And he's proud of his dad and what I'm doing, and I can get emotional because take a lot of pride in him.
Tissue. If you need one.
No, I'm good. But for me, like, that is just seeing him wanting to be involved in the tournament and want to be by my side makes all the time so worthwhile. And I hope that what Doug did for me so many years ago, that I can have that impact on some kid over the course of my tenure running this tournament. That's the biggest thing I could do.
Awesome.
Well said.
Well, I think you're off to a great start. The tournament hasn't even started yet, and there's already a buzz around the city. So you're doing a great job, and everyone's going to do their best to make sure that this tournament is the best that it can be. So we're looking forward to it. You got a great team behind you, and we're going to make sure it's successful.
On a lighter note, a memory from a couple of years ago, a guy coached on one of the provincial squads that we had was Ray Turner, and he was coaching a novice team. So I went in to present the pins. So in novice, at the end of, because they're not allowed to compete against each other, every kid gets a breakaway at the end of the novice games.
Oh, yeah.
So there's 5 shooters. They just go in and shoot on the other goalie.
Yeah.
You know, it's fun to watch. So I go to all those novice shootouts, and at the end I go in and present them, tell them, Sidney Crosby shootout, here's a pin.
Yeah.
Anyhow, it was in Ray's dressing room, and I come in and I present the pins, and I hear one kid say out loud, and Ray's right there, he goes, "That's Sidney Crosby's grandfather."
That's amazing. You're rolling with it? Yeah, I guess maybe.
Start to go home and look in the mirror a little extra. Or...
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Really? Yeah.
That's awesome. That's amazing. Well, gentlemen, I want to thank you guys both for coming on the podcast. We really do appreciate you coming on. Is there anything that you want to say to the listeners before I end the show? Maybe a little bit more information, anything? Or did I cover everything? You guys covered everything?
You know, I think, just say that our tournament's going to kick off on Saturday, March the 12th. For those that don't know, we run the tournament in 3 phases. So opening weekend is our U9s, as well as all of our AA divisions. And our 15As also compete on that weekend.
Okay.
Games take place at Cole Harbour Place, both ice surfaces, 2 ice surfaces at the RBC Center in Burnside, as well as East Coast Varsity in Woodside. So we're running 5 surfaces throughout the course of the tournament. Come on out. If there's capacity to let you in, certainly let you in. We'll have on the website all the games that are going to be covered by High Button Sports and the links to them on our website so that you can quickly and easily access them. Our second phase of the tournament begins on the Tuesday, and that'd be all of our A and B divisions. And again, all levels, U11 up to U18. And then our final weekend, like I said, is our rec league, our U18, our C divisions, which again would be U11 right up to U18. So we're excited. There's going to be a lot of special memories to be made. There's some new elements that we're going to unveil, a new award that will be given out this year. So there's a lot of excitement around this tournament, and you know what? Just come out, have fun, cheer on the kids, and be excited for them to finally be able to compete in a tournament again, and do Cole Harbour proud.
Awesome. Well said.
Yeah.
Once again, guys, I want to thank you for coming on the show. Can't wait to join you. We're going to see you around the rinks. If you guys need to holler at us, we'll be up in the media booth. I think that's good.
Special shout out to the organizers, man. Seriously,
Big
seriously.
shout out to the organizers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's none of this would be possible without my committee. That's for darn sure. And they've really truly been instrumental in all of this. And Daryl Brain, who's been the chair of the tournament for I think the past 10 years or so, for staying on and being a guiding light for me this year as well, and holding my hand, and some late night conversations of you need to do this, you need to do that, and making sure that I'm on the right path. But he's been instrumental in helping me get this going this year as well. So very, very fortunate, and really excited for our Cole Harbour hockey community and hockey families as well to be part of the tournament. And I know it's always challenging to volunteer those parental hours over the course of the tournament, but I'm guaranteeing that the parents will have a fun time while they're in the rink and in the building as well. So don't sweat it, parents.
Awesome. Way to set the tone. You set the tone big time with this.
The Mark Messier guarantee.
And what do we need, Paul? We need the game sheets, you said, right? Get the game sheets. Chad, get the game sheets.
Yeah.
Let's go. All right.
Awesome, guys.
Everyone, thank you very much for tuning in. It's Friday, so enjoy the weekend. Watch some hockey. Put your feet up. We'll see you guys at the Joe. All of our social media links. I think that's it. We're good to go. All right, we're out.
Sounds
Peace.
Thank you.
That was awesome, guys.
Well done, guys.